Good morning, Prabheda.
Okay. So,
I can read. Can I read?
yes, do that. Because I think Chandy is uh, not probably near the.
Rangata, I don't have the text.
Okay. So,
I don't
Suki
have
will
the
read.
text.
So,
Yes.
and then Pallavi, then Kiran.
We see that the mystery of the divine incarnation in man, the assumption by the Godhead of the human type and the human nature is, in this view of the Gita, only the other side of the eternal mystery of a human birth itself, which is always in its essence, though not in its phenomenal appearance, even such a miraculous assumption. The eternal and universal self of every human being is God. Even his personal self is a part of the Godhead, Mamaibamsa, not a fraction or fragment, surely, since we cannot think of God as broken up into little pieces, but a partial consciousness of the one consciousness, a partial power of the one power, a partial enjoyment of world being by the one and universal delight of being, and therefore, in manifestation, or, as we say, in nature, a limited and finite being of the one infinite and illimitable being. The stamp of that limitation is on ignorance, by which he forgets not only the Godhead from which he came forth, but the Godhead which is always there, within him, there living in the secret heart of his own nature, there burning like a veiled fire on the inner altar in his own temple house of human consciousness.
Yeah. Small para, not a very big one. So, we'll quickly read it. Okay. So, we see, by the way, he is going to, next to three paras, he is going to summarize what he has said in the previous one, the process. Then, sorry, the purpose of avatarhood. Then he will start after three paras, he will start the, what is the process of avatarhood. Okay, sir. I am reading each sentence. We see that the mystery of the divine incarnation in man, the assumption by the Godhead of the human type and the human nature, is, in the view of the Gita, only the other side of the eternal mystery of human birth itself, which is always in its essence, though not in its phenomenal appearance, even such a miraculous assumption. So, in other words, the human descending into the physical world consciously is the avatar, but the divine is also descending into every human being and loses his consciousness of his own divinity. So that is the other side that he's talking about. Because Sri Krishna tells Arjuna that I remember all my past lives, but you don't remember. So there is a very great parallelism between the human being coming down into the physical world and the divine entering into him, and the avatar also having a human series of lives, and then the divine descends into him. So there is a very similar method, but it's the other side. There are two aspects to it. One is conscious, the other is unconscious and struggling towards consciousness. Okay, so and it's a mystery. How can the divine, who is infinite, enter into a body and a mind and a life which is so finite? How can it happen? Okay, that's what he's suggesting. We see.
Rangada,
Yes, tell me.
Rangada, one question, please. When
Yes,
Sri Krishna says that I remember my past lives, so his
yes.
past lives are only avatars only, no other
No,
life.
no. It's avatar only in this life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay.
But there's another thing. When you become an avatar, you
Yes.
realize that your own past lives also were contributing to the development of the evolution in the physical world. Because there is a very interesting correspondence with Sri Aurobindo and mother also. And when Sri Aurobindo is asked, you have had many lives, what were you doing in your past lives? So he said, carrying on the evolution. Now, carrying on, it is very, very short reply, but everybody, all of us are actually carrying on the evolution in a very imperfect manner. No? We are carrying on the evolution individually, but we are also, our individual effort is contributing to the whole general. So although it is not as conscious as the avatar, there is a contribution. Okay. So that's the interesting part. The other
But
lives,
Rangada,
yes, tell me.
according to Indian mythology, it is Vishnu who is coming down as avatar, no?
That's okay. So only for Ram
So,
and Krishna.
oh, only for Ram and Krishna, not from the beginning like Matsya and Kurma and all?
It may be, but that's a symbolic story. The Matsya and the Kurma cannot be avatars, no? They are only the symbols of the evolution going from inconscience to consciousness slowly. It's only a symbolic story of the rise in consciousness, and the avatar helping it every time. Okay, so that is it's a symbol. Surely we can't say that the fish is an avatar, but it is an avatar. Yeah, tell me.
Avatar in the sense that from there the transition has begun in the evolution.
That's right, exactly. So the question is, you have asked a very interesting question. An avatar becomes conscious of his past lives, but in the past lives, he's not an avatar. So, what were you doing in your past lives when someone asks? Okay, instead of replying in too much of a detail, Sriranga said, carrying on the evolution. So
But he was carrying on the evolution consciously or unconsciously like us?
He didn't use the word consciously. That's the whole point. We have to see the whole background and the context and understanding. So, my understanding is that they become conscious in a certain way of how they have contributed in their past lives. Take, for instance, Srirango's lives, okay? It's very interesting since you're asking. One was Leonardo da Vinci. He was certainly not a spiritual man. Okay? Then what about Augustus Caesar? He was also not a spiritual man. But they were carrying on the evolution because they were contributing to the evolution. The evolution is takes place in 100,000 million ways. So one way is contributed by these. So in that sense, carrying on the evolution.
So in this life, he has become conscious that he was carrying on the evolution.
That's right. That's right. And we are also contributing and contributing in a very, very minute manner. But after we become avatars, then we'll realize that, okay, we were also progressing slowly. We were part of the general evolution as an individual evolution. But my individual evolution is not absolutely separate from the universe, no? Because we are constantly, universe and the individual are very closely connected, as we see. So even one dot of individual perfection will affect the whole in a very minor way, but it will affect. So we have to understand it that way. That is my understanding. Okay. They were not conscious in their past lives. But when they have become here, now they know what their past lives were, and they were contributing. But not as an avatar.
But Rangada, now we are conscious that we are carrying the evolution.
No. How are you conscious? My God, then you are an avatar.
No. Like you said, we are carrying on the evolution. So we are now conscious.
No.
That we are part of the evolution.
Yeah, you are. But that's a mental knowledge.
Yes, mental knowledge. Yes.
Right.
What about the Divine Mother? She was also in her last life Mirabai.
Mirabai?
So
I've not heard of that. But she was a queen in England. Okay.
No, that I know. But like, was she also aware that she is also an avatar, no? Because she's manifesting the Divine Mother.
Now she knows that she's an avatar. Okay. And in fact, Sriranga confirmed. Sriranga told her very clearly She herself seemed to have a little doubt because she says Sremlo also has told me. Okay. But in her past life, she was a queen, okay, of England. And she was a very strong queen. I think she was I don't remember the details, Queen Elizabeth, I think. But she was
Yes,
not.
she was Queen Elizabeth the First also, and her stepsister Mary Queen of Scots. She
Hmm.
was Mary Queen of Scots also. So
Ah,
she had told this to Amal that
hmm,
it was so difficult to kill and eliminate Mary Queen of Scots
hmm.
because I was in her also.
Yeah. So we come back to our main point. But that queen was certainly not a spiritual person. But they were
No, no,
contributing.
no.
Yeah,
She was not spiritual, but she was so faithful to England.
that's
You
right.
know that that uh, that ruling power for the good of England
That's what I'm
was
saying. So,
was there in her.
so it was a minor contribution to the general evolution. The evolution is not only in one line, it is 100,000 million ways. You see, every scientific discovery, every philosophic discovery is a progress in the evolution. Even a scientific discovery, it's an evolution, it's a progress. But you can't say that they are avatars. No? Take all the inventors of and the discoveries of the uh, discovery of what the kidney is doing, discovery of the circulation. Okay, all these were discoveries, but that doesn't mean to say that they were. It has contributed to the general evolution. It has certainly contributed more to the knowledge, general knowledge. So you can't call them avatars. So
I don't
contribution. Uh, Tell me.
I don't know where I read that mother was Mirabai in her past life,
I've never
and
heard.
if you go to Chittorgarh, where she was living, and there is a room of Mirabai, and at the entrance of the room, they have put a chair which had a pink satin cloth on it, and on that was the photo of Lord Krishna. And that reminded me so much of mother that you felt her presence there. I don't remember where I had read about this, that she was Meera in her past life.
I've never heard of that. And I don't think there's anything written to that effect. Your experiencing mother's presence there is individual. Okay? That shows that you are aware of the mother's presence. But doesn't mean to say that Meera was a mother. I doubt that.
But she was also Queen Hatshepsut in Egypt.
Yes, that is correct. She
Yeah,
has, that is correct. She has accepted that in her talks. In agenda, it is very clearly there.
yeah. And there also in the temple of Queen Hatshepsut, you can still feel her presence.
Yes. You have been there.
Yes, I've been there. And it is so much similar to what mother would have liked because there is a huge U-shaped mountain.
Mm.
And in that area, on the flat plain, is the temple of Queen Hatshepsut, which is very, very different from what the other kings and queens had.
Mm.
You
Okay.
know, it's on the other side of the Valley of the Kings in Egypt. And there
Okay.
you can definitely feel her presence. And it was after that that I came back and I asked Amal that, was mother by any chance Queen Hatshepsut? He says, of course, mother was Queen Hatshepsut.
Yes, she has accepted that.
So,
In fact, there's an interesting episode about a small child. Okay. When we were at school, when I was at school, there was a girl who was my classmate. Her name was Urmi. Okay. Gujarati girl. And when she got married, okay, her first child they brought to mother. And as soon as mother saw that child, she said, Arey, this was my son in Egypt. So she remembered that. It is there very clearly in the agenda. So that's right. And Mother said very interesting at that time. She said that there are two types of memories. There are visual memory and there is a hearing memory. Okay. So she says that the visual memory came back to me. That child was playing in a drain-like thing, in a drain-like thing she was. And she was a little upset that why the child was allowed to do that. So that she has mentioned that in the agenda. Okay, so we come back to our text, all right? So very similar, the individual soul coming down into a human being, and the divine coming down into a human being who is ready to accept the divinity. Okay, so I read the next sentence. Both are miraculous assumptions. The eternal and universal self of every human being is God. Okay? Very categorical statement. The eternal and universal self of every human being is God. But not his body and life. Even his personal self is a part of the Godhead. Mama eva amsha. Okay? Mama eva amsha. He is a part of me. Because Sri Krishna is speaking. Even his personal self is a part of the Godhead, Mama eva amsha. Not a fraction or fragment, surely, since we cannot think of God as broken up into little pieces, but a partial consciousness of the one consciousness, a partial power of the one power, a partial enjoyment of world being by the one and universal delight of being, and therefore in manifestation, or as we say in nature, a limited and finite being of the one infinite and illimitable being. This also is a mystery. How the infinite can come down into a finite being. Okay, so all these are mysteries. I read the last sentence.
No, Rangata,
And
one
Rangata?
question, please.
Pardon?
One question, please. What is the difference between partial and a fraction? I mean, how do you, he said not a fraction, but a partial.
Yeah.
So what is the difference?
That's quite a complicated question, not easy. Partial means like an emanation. Okay, so okay, let me see if I can put it in another way. Okay, the essence is a total. The essence of everything. Okay, but each individual thing can have the essence. Okay, but it's not the total. How to explain this? See, then
Like sea,
yeah.
the wave is partial of the sea, but not fraction of the sea. That
Yeah.
way?
That's what I'm trying to make you understand. The totality is more always than the sum of parts. Okay, so let me tell
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Yes,
Can,
yes.
can you give this example that you have the sun, okay, which
Okay.
is the main symbol. Now there are innumerable rays coming out of the sun. You cannot count the rays. But each ray is a part of the sun.
Yeah.
So it is manifesting on earth, and it's like each human being is hanging from one ray of the sun.
That's right.
But you are not aware of that.
Now,
But
but
there are such innumerable rays coming out from the sun. So it is same way, it's the divine who is the sun and who is throwing out innumerable rays. And at the end of each ray, there is a little puppet known as a human being.
yeah, but what you have said does not answer Pallavi's question. You are
No, I
saying
now understood, Rangata. Fraction is cut off from the main, where the partial is not cut off from the main. Is
That's-
that true?
yeah, that's it. Okay, so essence. Okay, the
Yes.
essence is the same.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So the stamp of that limitation is an ignorance by which he forgets not only the Godhead from which he came forth, But the Godhead which is always within him, there living in the secret heart of his own nature, there burning like a veiled fire on the inner altar of his own temple house of human consciousness. So in both cases it is like that. In the beginning, God comes down, but in a normal human being, even God himself forgets. Your psychic being has forgotten that you are essentially divine. Okay? And you have to go back. This idea comes up again and again. Na? You have forgotten that you have yourself taken the adventure of plunging into the infinite darkness and emerging out. It's a game you are playing and you have forgotten about it. So, and that is a stamp of the limitation. When the divine is coming down into a human body, it is a limitation. And the stamp of that limitation is ignorance. You have forgotten that you are divine. Okay? And the avatar, the divine, when he realizes that this divine in the individual is now grown sufficiently alert and the body mind life is prepared, I can come down into this house, he does that. That's the avatar. The others are not yet ready, so the divine cannot descend into you. If the divine descends into you when you're not ready, calamity. Okay. It will be completely calamities. And that's exactly what happens very often. If you pull, you must never pull, you must always aspire. You must give yourself and not demand. Okay? Because when you pull, it can be calamitous. I gave you one example. Huh? There was a young boy, his name was Suharsh, he is passed away now, nephew of Niruddha. Okay? And he was very good at sports. In fact, the whole family was very good at sports. So he was throwing a javelin one day, and when he was throwing the javelin, he called mother loudly, almost loudly, and he threw that javelin and it became a record. But after that, because he had pulled, he lost his balance, okay, mental balance. He was not normal ever since. Even towards the end, he was not normal. He was not mad, but he was not normal. That is what can happen. So when the avatar, the divine descends into a body which is almost ready, that is the avatar. But the avatar cannot come, the divine cannot descend into a body which is not yet ready. And they will never do that. Okay. And in Chaitanya's case, it was partial, as I said. Sometimes he was ready and he used to, when the divine descended in him, he used to behave like a realized person. He would bless people, he would grant boons, but then afterwards he loses that consciousness and he becomes like an aspirant. He is praying to God. Okay? So that is the thing. Now we can read the next paragraph.
Rangada?
Yeah, tell me.
Rangada?
Yeah.
In the passage, the Mama Vamsa, that in the passage, the eternal and universal self of every human being, that is Jiva Atman, right?
Okay.
And even his personal self is a part of Godhead. There, the personal Godhead means a psychic being,
That's
or okay. Psychic being, yes. Yeah, that's my question.
But you are not conscious of a psychic being, na? So that's the ignorance. But when you become conscious of your psychic being and you become conscious of your self also, which is standing above, then you are almost ready for a divine descent. And the descent does occur, but not the full divine. The divine light may come into your mind. Then you have a realization of the Godhead in knowledge you have. And if it comes down into your heart, you'll even have love and devotion. Okay? So it depends. Partial descents can also occur. All spiritual experiences are descent of one particular aspect of the divine in you. Okay? It may be light, it may be love, it may be ananda, it may be power. In some cases, it is power. Take the case of Nietzsche. Okay? He certainly had the experience of the self, but it was a power aspect. And his whole philosophy is based on that. That human beings are more powerful and they have the right to rule over others. That was his philosophy. So it depends on what is coming down into you. It could be knowledge, it could be love, it could be power. Okay? Depends. It could be ananda. So many things can happen. Okay, we read the next one. Archanadi doesn't have the text, so Yasmin, you have the text?
Yes, please, I can read.
Okay, go ahead. He is innocent. Sorry, ignorant.
He is ignorant because there is upon the eyes of his soul and all its organs the seal of that nature, Prakriti, Maya, by which he has been put forth into manifestation out of God's eternal being. She has minted him like a coin out of the precious metal of the divine substance, but overlaid with a strong coating of the alloy of her phenomenal qualities, stamped with her own stamp and mark of animal humanity. And although the secret sign of the Godhead is there, it is at first indistinguishable and always with difficulty decipherable, not to be really discovered except by that initiation into the mystery of our own being, which distinguishes a Godward from an earthward humanity. In the avatar, the divine born man, the real substance shines through the coating. The mark of the seal is there only for form. The vision is that of the secret Godhead. The power of the life is that of the secret Godhead. And it breaks through the seals of the assumed human nature, the sign of the Godhead. An inner soul sign, not outward, not physical, stands out legible for all to read who care to see and who can see. For the Asuric nature is always blind to these things. It sees the body and not the soul, the external being and not the internal, the mask and not the person. In the ordinary human birth, the nature aspect of the universal divine, assuming humanity, prevails. In the incarnation, the God aspect of the same phenomena takes its place. In the one, he allows the human nature to take possession of his partial being and to dominate it. In the other, he takes possession of his partial type of being and its nature and divinely dominates it. Not by evolution or ascent, like the ordinary man. The Gita seems to tell us not by a growing into the divine birth, but by a direct descent into the stuff of humanity and a taking up of its molds.
Okay, so this is the very interesting paragraph, and he's saying that the difference between the individual divine entering into the human body and the whole divine, not the whole divine entering into a human body. That's the difference between the two. Okay, so we'll read each sentence and see what he says. He is ignorant. Who is the he? Okay, the individual soul. The individual soul is a part of it, not part, but essentially a answer. You can, words are confusing. So essentially, the psychic being, which is a representative of the divine in a human being, is not conscious at all. Okay, so he is ignorant. The psychic being in the beginning is ignorant because there is upon the eyes of his soul and all its organs the seal of the nature, Prakriti, Maya, by which he has been put forth into manifestation out of God's eternal being. So we'll stop there. Okay. The next is a very interesting image, but we'll discuss that later. So when the divine is coming down into darkness, he willingly puts on many, many layers, many, many sheets. The first sheet he puts on is mind. Mind is a consciousness which is limited. Then he puts on the vitality, which is a consciousness which is even more limited and thick and gross. Finally, he puts on the sheath of the matter. That's a body. So these are all hiding him. And by the time he has come down here, because of the darkness, he has forgotten from where he has come and forgotten the purpose of his life, and he has forgotten who he is. But because essentially he is divine, the progress is there. Otherwise, if he is not conscious and the divine is not there, there will be no progress. There will be absolutely no progress. You will be static. But because essentially it is divine, that divinity is pushing slowly, pushing him upwards. Okay, that's a difference. So, and the seed of the nature is what? The seed of the nature Prakriti is threefold. Three gunas: sattva, rajas, tamas. Body, vital, and mind. These are the three seals. Seal here in the sense of something which covers you. Okay? You are sealed. That room is sealed for people to go in. So they put a seal there saying nobody should enter here. So that's a seal of the nature. Maya, by which he has been put forth into manifestation out of God's eternal being. Now, very interesting image he is using. She has been minted like a coin. Now, who is the she? Okay, he said he and she. She is a Prakriti. So, she has been minted. She has minted him. Okay, so nature has minted him like a coin out of the precious metal of the divine substance, okay, but overlaid with a strong coating of the alloy of her phenomenal qualities. Which are the phenomenal qualities of the she, which is Prakriti? Again, we come back to Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Okay, they are the phenomenal qualities, gunas, but they are at the lower level, level 1. So therefore, they are phenomenal, and they are alloys. They are not pure at all. Okay, so matter is an alloy of all the 5 elements: ether, air, fire, water, earth. Then the vital is an alloy also of all the others, but slightly purer alloy. Then the mind also is an alloy of all the elements: ether, air, fire, water, earth, but slightly purer. Okay. So these are the alloys, stamped with her own stamp and mark of animal humanity. Look at the images, okay? Minted, coin, stamped. Okay. So this tells you that the image he is using. Nature takes her own substance and creates. Her own substance is divine essentially. As Scripture says in Life Divine very clearly, right in the first chapter, not only is matter a fit robe for the divine, but is divine himself. The divine himself has become matter. So, out of that divine substance, she creates alloys. And the alloys are your body, your vital, and your mind. So that's the image. No? So see, very interesting. Minted, coin, alloy, okay, and stamp. So these are all the words which very clearly indicate the image that he is giving you. Okay. Although the secret sign of the Godhead is there, it is at first indistinguishable and always with difficulty decipherable. You and I cannot decipher our psychic being, but if mother sees you, she immediately knows that your psychic being is awake or not so awake. Okay, so she can decipher, but we can't decipher. We have difficulty in deciphering in the beginning. First, indistinguishable. Okay, not to be really discovered except by that initiation into the mystery of our own being, which distinguishes a Godhead from an earthward humanity. Okay, so in the avatar, the divinely born man. Now note, he is already divinely born. That's why he may not be conscious, but there are divine qualities already in him. In Sri Aurobindo case, he was almost like a materialist in the beginning in Europe, but he was conscious that he has a role to play in the physical world. But he wasn't conscious that he's an avatar. Okay. So, very clearly, he had experiences and he was conscious. He told Mrinalini that I knew from the beginning that there is something special in me. He knew that. Okay. He says that very clearly. I was born with it. He uses the words, I was born with it, this element. So, so we come to the next sentence, not sentence, but actually the, in the sentence one. In the avatar, the divinely born man, we were discussing divinely born man. The real substance shines through the coating. So, those who can see and care to see, they will be able to see that here is someone special. Shines through the coating. Which is a coating? Again, the body mind life is a coating. The mark of the seal is there only for form. Okay? The divine is a form. The vision is that of a secret Godhead. The power of the life is that of the secret Godhead, and it breaks through the seals of the assumed human nature. So sometimes they can show their divinity through even miraculous deeds, but they normally don't do that. But those who can see, they will be able to see the divine nature. Okay? The sign of the Godhead, an inner soul sign, not outward, not physical, stands out legible for all to read who care to see or who can see. Again, here also there is an image. Okay? Legibility and reading. Okay? So, if you have a book and you are not able to read that book, then it's illegible to you. So if you are not being able to see the psychic being in a person, you are illiterate. You are not able to see that's the image he is using. Okay, so, who care to see or can see. For the asuric nature is always blind to these things. The asuric nature is that which is ego bound. Okay, it need not be absolutely asuric with an A cap, but it can also be asuric with a lower case. Okay, every one of us have got an asuric nature because we have an ego. Okay, that's the definition of an asura. Mainly, he's got great powers, but he does everything for himself, not for anybody else. Okay, we'll finish this paragraph. Because 1 minute, we'll finish it up. Now, the last sentence, this whole sentence is a crux of the matter. In the ordinary human birth, the nature aspect of the universal divine, assuming humanity, prevails. Now note the word nature aspect of the universal divine. Even matter is divine, even life is divine, even mind is divine. But that's a nature aspect. Okay? So the nature aspect in an ordinary human being is prevailing. That is more obvious. But in the incarnation, the God aspect of the same phenomena takes place. So there is a body, mind, life, but a God aspect is prominent. In the ordinary human being, the nature aspect is prominent. The body, mind, life is prominent. In the one, he allows the human nature to take possession of his partial being and to dominate it. In the ordinary human being, Prakriti is dominant. In the other, the avatar, he takes possession of his partial type of being and his nature and divinely dominates it. In simpler words, in an ordinary human being, your nature is capturing your soul and making it prisoner. But in the avatar, the soul captures the body, mind, life and dominates it. This is what he's saying. Not by evolution or ascent like the ordinary man, the Gita seems to tell us, not by growing into a divine birth, but by a direct descent into the stuff of humanity and a taking up of its molds. So the Gita is saying that, okay? He's making a small difference between his view probably and the Gita's view, because he is adding, the Gita seems to tell us. So in other words, you become an avatar when the divine himself, the supreme divine, descends into your body, mind, life. Okay. And that is very relevant because the phenomenon of the partial avatar, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that makes it very clear. Sometimes you are, sometimes you are not. Okay, so, in fact, that happens at all levels. Mother also speaks of that. She says, but of course, her case was in the body, okay, not of the nature, but body itself. She says that when I am in the divine consciousness, everything is fine. Okay, everything is fine. There is no problem, no suffering, nothing. But when the consciousness is not absolutely fully divine, then there is a suffering that comes. Okay, and the body used to protest loudly. We used to hear, she used to actually scream, but don't make a mistake, huh? It's not an ordinary screaming. It's a screaming of the body. She was working at the body level. We are working at the mental level and the vital level, but she was working at the body level and succeeding. We work at the mind level and body vital level and don't succeed mostly. Ultimately, we are all destined to succeed, but that's still maybe another 10, 15 lives more, maybe. Okay. So, we have passed our time, so we stop here today. Next time, we'll go to the note also interestingly that he is still talking of the purpose, but the process he has not started. You will see on the next page the method, the purpose, process is discussed. So we'll do that next time. Okay.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Bonne journée, Raghunath.
Same to everybody. All have a nice day.